Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're unlocking one of the most legendary wealth-building texts of all time, Napoleon Hill's classic, Think and Grow Rich. But we're going to do something a little different. We're looking at it through a really specific, highly effective lens, Expressionism. Now, you probably know Expressionism, right? It's that subjective art style from the late 19th and early 20th centuries. Think of Edvard Munch's The Scream, or those incredibly vibrant, swirling skies by Vincent van Gogh. These artists, they didn't just paint objective reality. They painted their raw, intense emotions. Well, Napoleon Hill argues the exact same thing for our lives. Your intense inner thoughts literally paint your physical and financial reality. It's an absolute mind-to-reality framework. Let's get into it. Okay, let's dive into this. Hill's entire philosophy is anchored in three simple but massive words: thoughts are things. And to prove it, he gives us two totally contrasting stories. First, there's Edwin C. Barnes. The guy literally jumped off a freight train looking like a tramp, but he had this intense, expressionistic, burning desire. He didn't just want to work for Thomas Edison, no way. He wanted to work with him. And he stood by that thought until he actually became Edison's business partner. Talk about painting your reality. Now contrast that with R.U. Darby. Darby had all the physical tools. He went west, bought machinery, dug for actual gold. But when the vein of gold seemingly disappeared, he just quit. He folded. Later on, he found out he had stopped just 3 feet from millions. 3 feet. And this quote brilliantly illustrates the core premise of the book. More gold has been mined from the brains of men than has ever been taken from the earth. It just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? True wealth is an internal emotional creation way before it ever hits your bank account. Darby quit because his internal reality failed. Barnes, he succeeded because his internal reality was completely unstoppable. So, to make Hill's pretty dense 13-step formula super easy to grasp, we've chunked it down into a highly memorable 4-phase mental model. We're going to cover Phase 1, the foundation, Phase 2, the blueprint, Phase 3, the engine, Phase 4, unseen power, and finally, your next step. Starting off with Phase 1, the foundation, internal mindset and emotional reprogramming. This is basically the raw, blank canvas where absolutely all achievement is born. And on this canvas, we have 3 internal pillars. First up, desire. Now, this isn't just some casual wish. Hill insists it has to be a burning obsession, an emotion so strong it literally outwits Mother Nature herself. Second is faith. Faith is the absolute, unshakable belief that what you desire is already yours. And third, we have autosuggestion, which is basically the medium we use to program that belief directly into our brains. So what exactly is autosuggestion? It's defined as the principle of voluntarily influencing the subconscious mind through repeated, emotionally charged positive thought impulses. Essentially, it's positive brainwashing. By writing down your goals and repeating them out loud every day with real, genuine emotion, you're acting just like that expressionist artist. You are deliberately mixing the paint that colors your entire subconscious mind. Actually, take a quick inventory of your own mind right now. What are you demanding of yourself when you speak your goals aloud? And this brings us to a really stark contrast: success consciousness versus failure consciousness. Hill argues that nature is a completely neutral canvas. It's going to paint whatever you hand it. If your thoughts are steeped in poverty, misery, and the word impossible, well, nature builds that exact reality for you indiscriminately. That's why he says it is absolutely crucial to actively banish failure consciousness. We have to deliberately cultivate a success consciousness instead. Let's move to and see how this builds in Phase 2, the blueprint, bridging the mind and reality. This is where we take all that abstract, swirling emotion and finally give it concrete shape and strategy. To bridge that gap, we need 3 bridge builders. First, specialized knowledge. And here's a huge distinction. General knowledge isn't power, it's only potential power. You can always just hire people who have the specialized knowledge you lack. Second is imagination, which Hill beautifully calls the workshop of the mind. And third is organized planning. This is where the magic happens. Organized planning is how you take those wild ideas from your imagination and forge them into a step-by-step, actionable blueprint. Let me give you a perfect example of this. Take the story of a 19th century drug clerk named Asa Candler. He bought this simple formula from a doctor, right? But he added one secret ingredient in the workshop of his mind: imagination. He envisioned a worldwide thirst killer. Those are Hill's dramatic words, not mine. He organized a plan, and boom, he built the vast Coca-Cola empire. Just think about that. One subjective idea, mixed with imagination, literally influence the entire physical world. It's like a giant puzzle coming together. But look, organized planning rarely goes perfectly the very first time. You're gonna hit roadblocks. And that's where Hill delivers this incredibly hard-hitting realization from the organized planning chapter: a quitter never wins, and a winner never quits. When you face a temporary setback, it is not a permanent failure. Don't take it as one. It's simply a signal telling you that your plans aren't completely sound yet. You just need to head back to the workshop of your imagination, rebuild the plans, and set sail all over again. Which brings us right into phase 3, the engine, relentless external action. This is the execution phase, where we draft raw willpower and the leverage of outside forces to propel our newly built plan forward. Now, this engine runs on 3 specific action drivers. The first is decision. Hill studied the most successful people and found a common trait. They reach decisions promptly, and they change them rarely, if ever. Basically, they've mastered procrastination. Next is persistence, which is really just the power of your will mixed with your burning desire. And finally, the power of the mastermind, which provides the ultimate driving force for the whole shebang. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that Hill gives us a literal instant tool, a 4-step formula you can use today to immunize yourself against failure. Step 1, a definite purpose backed by burning desire. Step 2, a definite plan expressed in continuous action. Step 3, a mind completely closed off to all negative influences. And step 4, a friendly alliance for encouragement. If you can establish these 4 steps, persistence doesn't even take effort anymore. It just becomes an automatic habit. And that friendly alliance ties perfectly into our definition of the mastermind. It's organized, intelligently directed knowledge produced through the harmonious coordination of 2 or more people working toward a definite end. Think of the human brain like an electric battery. One battery gives you a certain amount of juice, sure, but if you link multiple batteries together harmoniously, the power multiplies exponentially. Hill was basically saying you cannot achieve massive success in a vacuum. You absolutely have to link your brain's battery with others to become an unstoppable force. All right, let's round out the framework with phase 4, unseen power, tapping into higher forces. This is where Hill gets highly philosophical and connects our individual minds to the infinite intelligence around us. He touches on 3 pretty advanced and, frankly, surprising principles here. First, he dedicates a whole chapter to the mystery of sex transmutation. That's basically the idea of redirecting physical, romantic energy into laser-focused professional productivity. Then he dives deep into the subconscious mind. And finally, the brain and the 6th sense. He explains that our brains are actually acting as both broadcasting and receiving stations for the vibrations of thought out there in the ether. Wild stuff, right? To put that into perspective, think of your subconscious mind as this massive, infinite filing cabinet. Every single thought impulse is recorded there. But here is the kicker. It feeds on your dominant emotions. If you feed it the ghosts of fear, fear of poverty, fear of criticism, ill health, it files those away and literally builds a reality out of them. But if you feed it intense faith and desire, it acts on those instead. So internal emotional mastery isn't just some fluffy self-help concept. According to Hill, it's the literal programming language, the exact paint of your physical reality. So the crucial point is summarized beautifully right here. Anybody can wish for riches, but only a few know that a definite plan plus a burning desire are the only dependable means. You see the difference? A wish is totally passive. It leaves the canvas completely blank. But a burning desire paired with a solid plan, that is an active, aggressive, world-shaping force. Okay, finally, let's talk about your next step, translating the framework to your life. How do you actually apply this entire explainer to your life right now? How do you take your expressionist internal reality and start painting your external ambitions? Well, the text ends with this brilliant, provocative challenge. Hill lists 57 famous alibis invented by a character he calls Old Man If. You know the ones. Excuses like, if I only had money, or if my family understood me. Hill argues that true lack of achievement permits 0 alibis. So I'm going to leave you with this question to chew on. Are you secretly holding on to one of those excuses? It's time to drop the alibis, pick up the brush, and step confidently into creating your own reality. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll see you in the next one.